Okay, well, I didn't actually see the number of hands. I think it was, how many people have eaten at Chilango? Okay, so like 3% of the room. That means like a lot of growth potential. So it's quite good for the business. So Chilango is a chain of quick service Mexican restaurants. We're based in London. We have 10 restaurants today. Short term, our goal is to grow to over 50 restaurants throughout the UK. Long term, we've been engineering the business from the beginning to become a global, multinational brand. Real quick on my personal background, I'm Norwegian and American. I grew up for the most part in Chicago, where I fell in love with Mexican food. Second largest Mexican population in the United States lives in Chicago. I worked as a consultant for McKinsey & Company for a few years. Then I ran a nonprofit in Norway for a while. Before I came down to London, I joined Skype in its very early days back in 2004, before any of the myriad of acquisitions that happened since, and helped build that up together with my business partner who I started this with, actually. So we were working at Skype together as a two-person team with the founders on various projects. Along the way, we've invested, quite heavily, in the food and the brand, and that's led to a host of awards and praise. But one of the things that I most appreciate, I guess, about my Skype experience was thinking differently about things, thinking, more disruptively about things. Skype democratized the phone call in a way, and we started to think, well, how could we apply that to our business? And we didn't want to democratize the burrito because then we'd make no money. But we said, okay, well, can we think about raising funds in a slightly different way? And this has already been discussed a bit, but in 2014, we launched on a third-party platform, Crowdcube, the world's first ever mini bond done in that way. Raised £2.1 million from 700 people. And then the funny thing is with coming to speak today is that I was asked to speak, but then by the time I had already said yes, then shortly after that, we did an equity round where we blew that away, and we raised $3.4 million, also on Crowdcube. So combined, we've raised $5.5 million from over about 2,000 people, which on the Crowdcube platform puts us as number one out of 350 funded businesses to date. So I hope today that I can lend you a bit of insight into why we've had such record-breaking raises. And then that gets to, what makes a successful raise. So well, obviously I'm pro-crowdfunding, but, the funny thing is that there's not much difference in what constitutes a great investment through crowdfunding as does a good investment through, say, private equity. All the basics need to be in place. You need to have a strong product. For us, that was our food. It is our food. You need to have a strong team. Lots of domestic growth potential of still there. If there's international potential, fantastic. Makes it even more exciting. The financials, the P&L, all that needs to be in place. That's kind of like the no-brainer stuff. You must have that. But today I wanted to talk about something else. I wanted to talk about, okay, that's a given, but what was it, at least from my point of view, that allowed us to do two back-to-back kind of record-breaking raises, beyond expectations? What was it that allowed us to transition from kind of good to great? And so today I just want to talk about three things, which I think were the main kind of contributing factors behind that. The first one's really basic. Yeah, got to have a great deal. So this is in reference to our mini bond offer. So this is the £2.1 million offer. The funny thing with this is that I had been trying to shop my own kind of bond for quite some time. I just had our lawyers draft a debt facility agreement, and anyone I met, I said, you should own debt in Chilango. And for it to be worth my time to meet them, I set the minimum at £100,000, and they're like, are you crazy? So that didn't work. So Crowdcube was developing a mini bond offering, and it seemed like it fit quite well with what we were what we were trying to do. And so we kind of transplanted that onto the platform. 8% interest we offered people, semi-annual payments, interest only at the end of a 4-year term. It's a bullet, or you refi, you refi it. The other key incentive was we came up with the Chilango Black Card. Just completely made up, and it entitled anyone who invested £10,000 or more, a free burrito per week during the duration of the bond. So the Wall Street Journal picked that up immediately and said, whoa, this mini bond offer, it's not 8%, because if you calculate, it comes out to 11.67%. We were like, fantastic, because that goes to all the city workers, and they all bought the bonds. So it was a combination of, good deal, as well as something that really resonated with our key audience, because a lot of our restaurants were in the city, and we did have a lot of, we do have a lot of weekly business, so the chance to kind of get a free meal when you're going there every single week anyways does translate to, an economic benefit. So the other thing is that we marketed it everywhere. All the staff had, T-shirts on, buy our burrito bond. We trademarked the term burrito bond. We made it look like a kind of old James Bond logo. It was, we really went for it. It was in the tube. It was everywhere. So the result was that this kind of offering, which through Crowdcube ends up being kind of sanctioned by the FCA as a financial promotion, was reaching an audience of the 20,000 people a week that were going to our restaurants, the 100,000 people at the time, it's like 250 now, that were on the Crowdcube platform. And then via our tube ads, about 4 million people going through the London tubes. The second key thing is I always say that the best brands in the world, they can sum themselves up in a single word. So Nike, competition; Disney, happiness; Apple's innovation. That one word for us is vibrancy. That might seem like a simple thing. It took us 3 years to come up with that. And it's not just coming up with that kind of single, organizing principle, as we referred to it, or that central piece of alignment, but it's about what do you do with it. So a lot of businesses don't even think about that, but then it's the 99% is how do you execute against it. And for us, that was about how do we make our food as vibrant as possible, how do we make our marketing communications as vibrant as possible. We added an audition element to our interviews to uncover the 1 in 10 vibrant personalities that are here in this room and that exist in everybody that comes to interview for us, but if you don't screen for, you won't find. And then our interior is quite vibrant. And what does this all mean? Why is this relevant to the crowdfunding raises? Well, crowdfunding is 50% rational investment, 50% emotional investment. And in my point of view, what I mean is that people love it and they want to get involved because it's an opportunity to invest in businesses that they like and love. And they don't have that opportunity elsewhere. So this is kind of connecting the dots and squeezing out all the middle and bringing it really close to home. And so if you have a brand identity that really resonates with people and that they like, you got half the battle achieved, right? So, or one. And I really believe that kind of strong brand identity for us allowed us to, really resonate with the crowd and stick out in a crowded marketplace. We like him, don't we? So he's made a comeback recently. So the next thing is wisdom. So ironically, it was the fact that we probably almost torpedoed the company in 2009 and 10. We're 2 weeks away from not being able to pay anybody anything. That key event can kind of lead up all the way indirectly to one key element of our crowdfunding success, and that's social proof. So what happened is that after our first and our second restaurant, they did so well that we thought we could do no wrong. And then the third and the fourth, they were a nightmare, disaster. So I raised £3 million at the time, and over 18 months I lost all of it. Nobody wanted to invest equity in Chilango. I had to do senior secured loan notes with our existing investor base. There was a recap on the company. It sucked. Coming out of that, I thought, I never want to go through that experience again. How can we insulate it? Because I remember sitting across the table from the asset manager of a very large British property group, And as I heard them talk, I had that kind of zone out experience where they're talking and all of a sudden it just goes, and in my mind I'm thinking, fuck, it's all over. And then all of a sudden the conversation comes back in with, but there is one way out. And then we found a way out, and we negotiated a way out. But the aftermath was that I didn't want to go through that again. So I thought, okay, best way to insulate ourselves against kind of these risks is surround yourself with wisdom, with people who have done it before. There's very few things that haven't been done before, and you can make an entire life out of just doing things better. Look at Richard Branson. So I started to go to every single conference I could find. Any networking event, you name it, I was there. I was an absolute, like, well, yeah, I was always there. So slowly over time, we amassed this kind of group of people. This is a sampling. There's several others as well. And all of these people invested in the business because they believed in the vision. They believed that this could become a global brand. That Mexican food in this kind of healthy, quick service way was an untapped category. And why this is relevant is back to the social proof point. So the key part, absolutely central to both of our pitches, was our pitch video. And for me, the pitch video wasn't about like how do we get it put together with as small of a budget as possible. The first one kind of gave me the insight that pitch video is like absolutely critical. So for the second one, I got inundated with lots of companies that had done crowdfunding pitch videos. And I said, no, we're not going to do crowdfunding pitch video companies. Absolutely not. Instead, I ended up going to Soho, Camden, and speaking with a lot of music video companies. So we got this amazing music video company to help us break into our next crowdfunding round, and they also break into a new segment. And I sat down with them, and we did a proper kind of we really went through the script and the story and who's speaking what points, and really thinking about it in terms of almost like a movie script in a way. So who are the best actors or actresses to be in each scene? And what I mean with that is that I stepped back following the first raise that we did, and I looked at the forum and I said, okay, if I just had to categorize and lump all the key kind of attack points in the forum together, what would they be? And I came up with a list, and then based on those kind of ways in which people would look to poke holes in the pitch, I designed 10 or 20-second segments for key people whose backgrounds would naturally address each of those points. So for example, speed of rollout. So Chris Moore appeared in the video, and he said that, I've built a business of over 600 units, and I believe Chilango has the magic to roll out. And that we did throughout the whole pitch video. So we had about 8 different people coming in for 10 to 20 seconds. And that was absolutely critical piece of social proof to making the pitch go as well as it did. So the result, I've already said, 2.1 million on the bond, 3.4 million recently on the equity round, 5.5 million in total. But it's as much an exercise in brand building as it is fundraising. And I always say this because our brand profile as a result of this went through the roof. So we've had over 7 major television appearances across both local and international media. Over 100 pieces of print press from The Economist to the Wall Street Journal. And as for the future, I'd say, well, Crowdcube, crowdfunding is in our blood. It has been for a long time. I can't think of a better way to continue funding the growth and development of our business than through the support of our guests and fans. And all I can say is we're not done in this space, and we're working on some even bigger and better things to come. So thanks a lot for the time to chat, and I hope it was useful.